You are the guy women marry when they stop chasing dreams. You are stable, Noah, but you are safe. And I don't want safe anymore. I said nothing. Just signed the credit card receipt, left a 20% tip like I always do, and walked out of the same Italian restaurant where we had our first date 4 years ago. The Amarone I had saved 3 months to buy sat half-finished on the table. She didn't even notice. My name is Noah. I am 32. A senior structural engineer at a mid-size infrastructure firm here in Austin. I make around $90,000 a year. Not rich, but comfortable. I own a reliable car. I pay my half of the rent on time, and I can afford to take my girlfriend out for a nice dinner without checking my bank account first. Or I could. Past tense now, I guess. Ava is 29 when we met. She was working full-time in marketing, smart, driven. The kind of person who color codes her Google Calendar and actually sticks to it. About a year ago, she went part-time to focus on building her personal brand as a lifestyle content creator. I supported that. I believed in her. I still paid more of our shared expenses because her freelance income was unpredictable, but that felt like what you do when you love someone. You carry the weight together. Except somewhere along the way, the weight shifted. And so did she. It started small. We would be watching Netflix, and she would pause mid-episode to show me Brett and Camille's latest Instagram story. Brett and Camille Walker are this couple we met through a mutual friend maybe 8 months ago. Early 30s, live in Westlake Hills. The kind of neighborhood where the mailboxes cost more than my monthly car payment. Brett runs some funded tech startup. Camille posts aspirational content about morning routines and capsule wardrobes and how she manifestates abundance. Ava became obsessed. Not with them as people, with their life as proof. Camille says Brett surprised her with a week in Napa. Ava would mention casually over breakfast. They just hired a professional decorator. We could make this place less DIY, you know. Brett was just featured in Forbes Local. Have you ever thought about starting your own firm? Each comment felt innocent on its own, supportive even. Like she was just dreaming out loud, but they accumulated. Every observation was a comparison. Every compliment about them was an indictment of us, of me. I didn't notice the pattern until my best friend Dylan pointed it out about a month ago. We were grabbing beers after work, and I was venting about how Ava had spent 2 hours rearranging our living room to look better in photos, only to critique the result because our furniture wasn't the right aesthetic. Man, Dylan said, setting down his pint, when did she stop liking your life and start auditing it? That sentence stuck with me because he was right. Ava had stopped being my partner and started being my performance review. So I planned the anniversary dinner. 4 years together, I wanted to remind her why we worked. I made a reservation at Bella Nut, the same restaurant where I would nervously ask her to be my girlfriend over complimentary limoncello. I wore the navy button-down she once said made my eyes look warm. I even bought that specific Amarone she had mentioned loving months ago, the one that cost $140. I hid the receipt. She arrived 12 minutes late, apologizing while scrolling through Instagram. That should have told me everything. Dinner started fine, we ordered. We talked about her day, my upcoming project at work. Normal couple things. Then her phone buzzed. She glanced down. Her expression changed. Not sad exactly, hungry. Camille just posted, she said, turning the screen toward me. The reel showed a close-up of Camille's wrist, a diamond tennis bracelet, catching the restaurant lighting just right. The caption read, "Just because he loves me," followed by a diamond emoji and a sparkle emoji. Ava watched it twice. Then she set her phone face down and looked at me like she was weighing something. "Do you ever feel like we are behind?" she asked quietly. Behind who? Behind people who actually want more from life. I felt my chest tighten. "What does that mean?" she sighed. The kind of sigh you give someone when you are disappointed they don't already understand. You are stable. Noah, you are kind. You show up, but you are safe, and I don't want safe anymore. The waiter refilled our water glasses. The couple at the next table laughed about something. Somewhere in the kitchen, a pan clattered. Normal sounds in a moment that felt like the floor was disappearing. "I am not asking you to be someone you are not," she continued, softer now, like that made it better. "But I cannot keep pretending I don't want more. I deserve more." I didn't argue, didn't defend myself. I just pulled out my wallet, paid the bill in silence, and stood up. Then I will not keep you comfortable anymore, I said. I left her sitting there with 2 plates of pasta neither of us had finished. I drove to Dylan's apartment in a fog. He took one look at my face, handed me a beer, and didn't ask questions until I was ready. Around midnight, when I finally checked my phone, I had 3 texts from Ava. The first said, "We need to talk." The second said, "I didn't mean it like that." The third said, "I am staying at Camille's tonight. We will figure this out later." I didn't respond to any of them, but I did notice something else. When I opened Venmo to split a tab with Dylan for the pizza he had ordered, Ava's recent activity was public. 3 transactions from the past week, all completed during work hours when she was supposedly freelancing from home. One to a boutique spa in downtown Austin for $175. One to a studio called Lux Light Creative for $300. One to a place called the Velvet Room with no description. But a quick Google search told me it was a members-only social club, where the annual fee starts at $5,000. Her freelance income last month was maybe $2,000. I know because she had asked me to cover her half of the utilities. I am writing this from Dylan's couch at 2 in the morning because I cannot sleep and I cannot stop running through the last 6 months in my head. When did wanting more turn into wanting me to be someone else? When did my life become the thing she was embarrassed by? Maybe I am overthinking. Maybe I am hurt and looking for patterns that aren't there. Update 1. It has been 2 weeks since the anniversary dinner. A lot has happened, and I need to get it out before I lose my nerve to be honest about how ugly this got. The morning after I posted, Ava showed up at Dylan's apartment. She didn't text first, just knocked at 7:30 on a Saturday. Dylan answered in his pajama pants, took one look at her standing there with 2 coffees and her apologetic face, and called back toward his bedroom where I was barely awake. "Noah, you have got company." I came out expecting tears. Maybe an argument. What I got was something worse. She was calm, composed, almost businesslike. "Can we talk?" she asked, handing me one of the coffees. Oat milk, 2 pumps vanilla. She had remembered. That felt like a test. We sat in Dylan's living room, the kind of awful silence where you can hear the refrigerator humming in the next room. She folded her hands in her lap like she was about to deliver a presentation. "I love you," she started. "I need you to know that. But I cannot stay where life feels small. Small. That word sat between us, like a stone. You are the guy women marry when they stop chasing dreams," she continued. "And I am not done chasing." I asked her what she was chasing. She didn't answer directly. Instead, she told me she had been talking to someone. A friend of Brett and Camille's, Julian Marks, 37, real estate developer, recently divorced. I didn't know him, but Ava described him like she was listing credentials. Successful, forward-thinking, the kind of man who had just purchased property downtown for a mixed-use development project. "He drives a Maserati," she added. Like that mattered. "So this is about money," I said flatly. "It is about alignment." She said it with such conviction, like she had practiced the line. "Julian's where you would be if you pushed yourself." I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because the audacity of it was breathtaking. "You are not exploring alignment, Ava," I said. "You are auditioning for an upgrade." Her face tightened. "It is not like that." "Then what is it like?" She stood up, grabbed her purse. "I didn't come here to be judged. I came to explain." "You came here to feel less guilty," I corrected. She left. No tears, no apology. Just that same look she had had at dinner, like I was the problem for not understanding. Dylan emerged from his bedroom 5 minutes later with actual coffee, not the overpriced oat milk thing Ava had brought. "She is insane," he said simply. "You know that, right?" I nodded, but knowing it didn't make it hurt less. Here is where it gets complicated. 3 days after that conversation, I got a DM on Instagram from Camille Walker. "Hey Noah, I know this is random, but can we talk? Not about drama. Just something you deserve to know about Julian." I stared at that message for an hour before responding. Camille and I had never spoken one-on-one. Every interaction we had had was in a group setting, usually with Ava glued to Camille's side, absorbing lifestyle tips like gospel. I agreed to meet her for coffee, neutral location, public Wednesday afternoon at a place near my office. She showed up in yoga clothes and oversized sunglasses, the kind of outfit that probably cost more than my car payment, but was designed to look effortless. She ordered a matcha latte and got straight to the point. "Brett told me what Ava's doing," Camille said. "And I need you to know who Julian actually is." I waited. "His ex-wife signed NDAs," she began, plural. "He is not just successful, he is controlling. He funds women, but he dictates how they look, what they post, where they go. There is a vetting period before you are allowed in public photos with him. 6 months minimum." I felt my stomach turn, and Ava knows this. Camille shook her head. "Ava thinks she is going to be the next me. She told our whole group she was done settling for small time. That is literally what she called you." Small time. The coffee in my hand suddenly felt too hot. "Julian doesn't spoil women," Camille continued, her voice quieter now. "He curates them, and when they don't fit the aesthetic anymore, he discards them. Cleanly, publicly." "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. She took off her sunglasses. For the first time, she looked less like an influencer and more like an actual person. Tired. Maybe a little guilty, because you were good to her. And because I have watched too many women get chewed up by men like Julian and told myself it wasn't my problem. She paused. "Also, Brett thinks you are a good guy. He feels terrible about introducing them." We sat there for another 20 minutes. She told me Julian had a reputation in their circle, that Ava had already started posting vague stories about new beginnings and leveling up, tagging locations she had never been to before, trying to look like she belonged in a tax bracket she had never even visited. "She is auditioning," Camille said. "And she doesn't realize the audition is already over. He is just deciding how long to let her think she made the cut." When I got back to my office, I couldn't focus. My phone buzzed. A text from Ava. "I hope we can still be friends someday. You deserve someone who appreciates simple things. Simple, small, safe." Every word she used felt like a scalpel. I didn't respond. But here is the thing. Nobody tells you about breakups. Life doesn't stop. Work doesn't pause for your heartbreak. And sometimes the universe has a dark sense of humor. Because 2 days after that coffee with Camille, my firm landed a major contract, city redevelopment project. Infrastructure upgrades for a new mixed-use property downtown. The property owner, Julian Marks, the first joint plan, and according to the project coordinator, Julian requested to be present for all technical briefings. I don't believe in fate, but I believe in irony, and I am starting to believe Ava has no idea what she actually got herself into. Update 2 Monday morning. Downtown office, 20th floor, glass walls and minimalist furniture that probably cost more per chair than I make in a week. Our firm's project manager, 2 city officials, a land use attorney, and Julian Marks. I had looked him up over the weekend, not out of jealousy. Research. Professional curiosity. His LinkedIn was pristine. His company website showcased a portfolio of luxury developments across Texas. Every photo of him was carefully staged. Expensive suit, perfect teeth. The kind of tan that requires either a beach house or a really good dermatologist. I wore my best suit, navy, tailored 2 years ago for my cousin's wedding. Dylan had ironed my shirt that morning because I couldn't get the collar right. I felt like an imposter. Julian arrived 14 minutes late. Confidence move. Everyone in the room stood. He shook hands with the city officials first, then the attorney, then my project manager. When he got to me, his grip was firm. Performative. "Noah Carter," he said, like he was filing my name away. "The structural guy, good to meet you." "Likewise," I lied. Then she walked in. Ava 10 steps behind Julian, cream-colored dress. Heels I had never seen before, hair blown out professionally. She was carrying a leather portfolio and wearing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "This is Ava Monroe," Julian said casually. "She is consulting on the marketing and social strategy for the residential units." Consulting she had never consulted on a development project in her life. Our eyes met for half a second, hers widened. Mine stayed steady. I turned back to the conference table. The meeting began. The city representatives outlined their goals: infrastructure that could support increased foot traffic, accessibility compliance, sustainable materials. My project manager deferred to me for the technical breakdown. I walked them through our structural analysis, load-bearing requirements, seismic considerations, even though Austin isn't a major earthquake zone because codes require it for buildings over 10 stories. Drainage solutions for the underground parking. I used the laser pointer. I referenced the CAD drawings projected on the screen behind me. I answered every question with precision, and I felt something shift. Julian stopped scrolling on his phone. The city officials leaned forward, even the attorney, who had looked bored 30 seconds earlier, started taking notes. When one of the city reps asked about cost overruns, Julian started to answer, but the rep cut him off gently. Actually, I would like to hear from Mr. Carter. You are the one ensuring this doesn't collapse, right? People laughed. Julian's smile tightened. I explained our contingency models, how we build flexibility into the timeline, how material sourcing works when supply chains fluctuate. I wasn't performing. I was just doing my job. But in that room, with those people watching, it felt different. It felt like respect. The meeting ran 90 minutes. Afterward, the city officials thanked me directly, shook my hand. One of them handed me her card and said her department might have other projects that could use someone with my expertise. Julian waited until they left. Then he approached me, Ava hovering a few feet behind him like a shadow. Impressive presentation, he said. His tone was friendly. His eyes were not. I am glad we have someone capable on this. Some of these engineers are all theory, no practical sense. I appreciate that, I said evenly. He clapped me on the shoulder. We will be seeing a lot of each other. Let's make this smooth. Yeah, that is the plan. He turned to leave. Ava followed. But at the door, she paused, looked back. Our eyes met again. She mouthed something. I think it was wow. Or maybe wait. I didn't ask. My phone buzzed an hour later. Text from Ava. You look different today. I left it on red. That evening, Camille messaged me again. Heard the meeting went well. Also heard Julian's already annoyed that someone in the room knew more than him. Well done. Then another message. He called Ava high maintenance last night. Apparently she wanted to post photos from his condo and he said no. She pushed back. Big mistake. And finally, this is going to end badly for her. I thought you should know. I didn't respond to Camille either, but I would be lying if I said I didn't feel something close to satisfaction, because here is what I have realized. Ava didn't leave me for a better man. She left me for a richer one, and she assumed those were the same thing. But Julian doesn't see her as a person. He sees her as set dressing, a prop in the carefully curated performance of his success. And the moment she stops fitting the aesthetic, he will replace her as easily as he would replace a throw pillow that clashes with his couch. She wanted someone who looked expensive beside her. She got someone who sees her as an expense. And I am starting to understand that being safe wasn't my flaw. It was my strength. Because I actually saw her. I just saw someone she had already stopped wanting to be. Dylan asked me if I felt vindicated. Honestly, not yet. Mostly I feel tired, and a little sad. Not for me, for her. Because she traded the only person who loved her for exactly who she was, for someone who will only tolerate her for who she pretends to be. And that is a lonelier life than anything she ever accused me of building. Final update: Ava's dream life collapsed faster than anyone expected. I didn't witness most of it firsthand. I heard pieces through Camille, who had decided we were friends now. Apparently small updates, text messages with too much detail. The kind of information you share when you feel guilty for not intervening earlier. Julian started critiquing Ava's outfits 2 weeks into whatever they were calling their relationship. Too trendy, not refined. She thought he was helping her elevate her style. He was erasing her personality. Then he froze her access to the credit card he had given her after she posted an Instagram story from his condo. Just a candid shot of his living room at sunset, caption about gratitude and new beginnings. He called her 20 minutes after it went live. Take it down. She argued that it didn't show anything identifying. He didn't care. You don't post my life without permission. That is the rule. She took it down. But she was angry. She told Camille she felt like a teenager being scolded. Camille tried to warn her that this was just the beginning. Ava didn't listen. She threatened him a week later. Said if he was going to control her, she would tell people what he was really like. He apparently smiled. Actually smiled. Go ahead, I have attorneys. You have a few thousand followers and a ring light. Influencers don't scare me. He ended it the next day. Clean, public, brutal. One day she was posting vague stories about manifestation and alignment. The next, She was gone from his social circle entirely. No explanation, just absent. And when people asked, Julian's response was surgical. We wanted different things. I wish her well. Translation. She wasn't worth my time. Ava spiraled. Not dramatically, quietly. She stopped posting for a few weeks, then came back with a new aesthetic, softer, more authentic, a carefully curated version of humility. And then she emailed me. The subject line was just my name. No preview text. I almost deleted it without reading. But I opened it. Noah, I don't know if you will read this. I wouldn't blame you if you didn't. But I need to say it anyway. I thought I deserved more. I thought more meant bigger, shinier, more impressive. I thought it meant someone who looked successful beside me so I could feel successful too. I was wrong. You were already more. You were steady and kind, and you saw me as a whole person, not a reflection of your status. I miss the peace, I mocked. I miss feeling like someone's priority instead of their project. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I finally understand what I lost. I read it 3 times. I felt nothing, not anger, not satisfaction, nothing. I didn't respond. 2 weeks after that, she showed up at my apartment. My new apartment. I had moved out of Dylan's place a month earlier when my firm gave me a significant raise after the Julian project went into full development. Nothing extravagant. Just a 1-bedroom in a better part of town with actual closet space and a balcony that overlooks a park. She knocked on a Saturday afternoon. I had been reading on the couch. I opened the door, and there she was. She looked smaller somehow, not physically, just diminished. Hi, she said. I know I shouldn't be here. I just needed to see you, to apologize in person. You already apologized, I said. In the email. I know. But email feels cowardly. I needed to say it to your face. I am sorry, Noah, for all of it. I nodded. Okay, she waited for more. I didn't give it to her. Can I come in? She asked. Just for a minute. I was about to say no when I heard footsteps behind me. Claire appeared from the kitchen, carrying 2 glasses of iced tea. She stopped when she saw Ava at the door. Oh, Claire said. Sorry. I didn't realize you had company. Ava's expression changed, hardened. Who is this? She asked, trying to sound casual. Claire Benson, I said. Claire, this is Ava. We used to date. Claire smiled, polite and warm in the way that people who teach high school learn to be. She is 31. Teaches art. Spends her weekends at estate sales looking for picture frames and weird vintage pottery. We met at a bookstore 6 weeks ago when we both reached for the same architecture photography book. She asked if I wanted to get coffee and talk about it. I said yes. She has never once asked me to be anyone other than who I am. Nice to meet you, Claire said, extending her hand. Ava didn't take it. She looked at me instead. So this is your rebound. Her voice had an edge. No, I said calmly. This is someone who never asked me to be anyone else. Ava's face flushed. Right. Well, I should go. Probably, I agreed. She left. I closed the door. Claire handed me the iced tea. That was her? She asked. Yeah, she seems unhappy. She is. Claire sat back down on the couch, picked up her book, didn't press for details, didn't make it a thing, just went back to reading like the last 5 minutes hadn't happened. That is when I knew. Last weekend, Dylan threw a backyard barbecue, nothing fancy, just burgers, beer, and about 20 people from our extended friend group. Brett and Camille were there. Claire came with me, and so did Ava. I didn't invite her. Dylan said Brett mentioned it in their group chat and she just showed up. By the time I saw her standing by the cooler, it was too late to make it weird by leaving. I stayed on the opposite side of the yard. Claire and I manned the grill, laughing about her disastrous attempt to make potato salad the night before. She told a story about one of her students who had accidentally glued his fingers together during a sculpture project. I told her about the time I miscalculated a load distribution and had to redo an entire blueprint at 3 in the morning. Normal couple things. Easy, comfortable. Across the yard, Ava stood alone. She had tried to talk to Camille earlier, but Camille had been polite and brief before moving on. Brett avoided her entirely. No one was hostile. They were just indifferent. She had burned the bridge to the social circle she had idolized, and without Julian vouching for her, she was just another person at a party where she didn't really belong. At one point, I caught her eye. She looked at me, then at Claire, then at the way my hand rested on Claire's lower back while we laughed about something stupid. And I saw it, the recognition, the understanding she had traded belonging for validation, and she had lost both. Camille caught my eye from across the yard and gave me the smallest nod acknowledgement, maybe approval. I nodded back. When Claire and I left an hour later, Ava was still there, sitting on the porch steps, scrolling through her phone, alone. I don't think about her much anymore. Not out of bitterness, just because my life has moved forward and she is not part of it.